Welcome to Design Dungeon. This time we're going over Transformers Prime, a 3D CGI animated show that was aired on the Hub from 2010 to 2013. Apparently it takes place in the Aligned continuity, which I'm completely unfamiliar with. However, I do have someone here who is familiar with this particular show to help me out with the review. TF2 Bill.
Hello there, and it is from the the alignment continuity, which, if I can remember correctly, and I'm going to be bluntly honest, it's been a hot minute since I've looked over that. It's a book series. It has the book series and I think the Transformer games or the War for Cybertron games a part of it as well, because I did play those games. I love them to death as being a Transformer, a long-time Transformer fan since I was little.
So yeah, he's definitely going to be helping out with the series. I've only seen the first season, which gave me enough of the review to have a solid standpoint on it, but he has seen the entire 3 seasons. So if I need some feedback on stuff like just some things expanded upon, he's the guy who's going to be helping me out with that. That said,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. From a visual standpoint, I really like this show. I love how it really emphasizes the strengths of 3D animation.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think Transformers is specifically built for 3D. They didn't think they would, but they are, because 3D allows for very complex characters that can be animated precisely and even procedurally should you be adept with the program's coding language. Which is very important for, things that are supposed to transform into vehicles and whatnot.
Of course.
Yeah, and of course, being able to get all those metallic textures. It's really good for that, so this is like one of those 3D CG shows where it's like, yeah, it's completely justified.
Mm-hmm. And plus, you can also say it's been a hell of an upgrade since the days of Beast Wars and Beast Machines, but I would still recommend those shows. Even though the CGI is a bit dated, I will say, but I could still look past it and still enjoy the characters and the story for what it's worth.
But as for the characters and story, well, let's get into it with, of course, the main protagonist, sort of. I mean, not really, but, he's kind of the face. Optimus Prime!
Yeah, good old boss bot, good old OP Optimus Prime.
From a visual design, he is unquestionably a heroic figure, just from his color scheme. I've mentioned in previous videos before, but it bears repeating. The red and blue, plus a third color, either being white or yellow,
or
is
silver.
Found frequent, or silver in this case, is frequently found on superheroes like Captain America, Superman, just the works. If you want to make a generic hero character, give them those colors.
Yeah, there you go. And considering that Optimus Prime is one of the most recognizable faces and characters when it comes to the Transformers series, you can very much say that he is pretty much the Superman, Captain America kind of character that everybody will lead to as as being the great leader that he is.
Yeah, and even going, basing it off the hero archetype, his body shape is very much like that. It's like the classical V, Atlas kind of thing.
Carrying the world on the shoulders type of
Yeah. That said, he's big, but he's not super bulky. He's nimble, but he is still the tallest of the Autobots. That's actually an old art principle that dates back to really old times called hierarchy of scale, which pretty much amounts to size equals importance.
Yeah.
His blocky shapes convey a sense of stability and sturdiness, which really summarizes his dynamic with the group. Now, Bill, you do know a bit more about Optimus's overall story. I got a few things towards the end of the first season, but he doesn't get too much. I know that he was like an archivist or something called Orion Pax.
Yeah, he was a librarian or like an archivist in the libraries on Cybertron when he was under the tutelage of Alpha Trion, when he was called Orion Pax, and very much so is that it is a bit this is one of the common grounds that go along when it comes to the backstory of Prime, because in the original Generation 1, that he was still Orion Pax, but he was a worker.
Yeah.
But he was shot, or he was destroyed, but he got rebuilt to be the commander of the Autobots. So this is probably one of the more consistent and common things that people like to go with Prime, as him being an archivist or librarian from it.
Yeah, and give him something of a humble beginning, like he's not coming out of it as a warrior.
Yeah, no,
I kind of enjoyed the fact that he kind of like inherited the power from like being chosen to wield it, like the power of the Primes, which is a big part of the whole Primus versus Unicron thing, which we'll get to.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, but that's pretty far in. But yeah, there's a lot to him. We'll get to a bit more of his backstory when we get to some other characters. Yeah, I bet. But right now, he's generally a very good character. He grounds the group. He's very much the voice of reason when nobody else is being reasonable. Like, even Ratchet, who normally has some slip-ups, and we'll get to him as well.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome!
Next on the list is Bumblebee.
Oh, boy. The latest poster boy of the Transformer series, as of late.
And for good reason. He's basically the kid appeal character.
Yeah, he's the kid appeal, he's marketable, and so far, as far as I can tell, over the last 10 plus years, he's everybody really likes him. But what and just sorry to cut you off, what I still don't like is the fucking, he can't talk.
We'll get to that part. We'll get to that, okay. But first, from the visuals, yeah, kid appeal. What does this mean? He's yellow with a lot of rounded shapes to him, but he's not the most rounded, physically rounded character. He's got very, very big eyes. That's like one of the biggest defining traits of this incarnation. They're like super big. If they had highlights, they'd be anime eyes. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ.
Like when Megatron took over his mind, you could tell when he was possessed because it would just kind of
circle,
it would just shrink down to like a pinpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does not talk for the vast majority of the series.
I will say that sometime at the series finale he does get the ability to talk again, but that doesn't come in until
it's so late that it really doesn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, he mainly speaks in like tonal bleeps, like R2-D2. Only the other Autobots and Raphael seem to understand him. While it's kind of cute, I mean, it only goes so far. It really holds him back as a character because what else is there? It's like R2-D2, but a main character.
Well, to try and make that up with him not speaking, with him using the beeps, his various tones and different beep noises, that you can see that his door wings, like they act like, like when he's happy they go up, and when he's sad or when he's like angry they go down. It's kind of like dog ears in a sense.
Yeah, at least they put the effort in to give him like a decent amount of body language.
Yes. That's
a good design choice for him. Like, with R2, you don't get any of that, because he's just a tin can. Like, he's just a level below Schnitzel from Chowder.
Oh, Jesus.
Radda.
Blast.
Next on the list, RC, the sole female Autobot in the team. She's got a very sleek appearance, and that's quite fitting for a motorcycle transformer. Fighting techniques also very different from the other ones, given her smaller stature in comparison to the other Transformers, which emphasizes kicks, quick acrobatics, and relying more on arm cannons than brute force.
Pretty much.
As for her color scheme, some may think that blue is not necessarily associated with female robots, but tell that to somebody who has not followed Bionicle.
Yeah, right. looks at almost all the fucking blue Bionicles. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes.
But
so
yeah.
It's like, well, at least she's not pink. It's like, oh, come on. Make
She's
her
got-
green.
She's got a little bit of
subverting expectations.
Yeah, I mean she's got a little bit of pink, but it's more on her wrists.
Yeah, it's more like small accents than anything like very big. But
Yeah.
that's fine. But character-wise, among the Autobots, I have to say she's got a considerable amount of development over the course of the first season.
Oh, most definitely. She's probably one of the more characters that has an arc showing the kind of shit that she's gone through and why she's, the way she was in the first few episodes. And it's understandable because, when you see your partner killed right in fucking front of you while being tortured, they'll do some shit to you.
Oh yeah, it basically happens kind of a second time with The Rock. I don't know his name because
Cliff Jumper.
all we know is he was voiced by The Rock. That's why Cliff Jumper's not being included. He dies in the first episode.
And he appears in a flashback episode, but that doesn't count because it's only that's only a second or third time you get to see him not dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That said, I like her dynamic with Jack. It starts off like very
Standoffish.
she's very standoffish. That's the word for it. But then she warms up to him, and boy, the shipping with this. I don't ship, but my goodness, if I did.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Like the moment he looked at like the motorcycle form and just started rubbing his hand all over it, I'm like, oh god, the shipping.
Yeah, this is getting into some territory I wish you didn't, but you know what? Fuck it. But other than that, the two, as their dynamic is really good as you get to watch it develop over time. So, just kind of shift through it.
That said, she's a very versatile character. Sometimes,
definitely.
she is the voice of reason, depending on like who's acting. Other times, she is the one who's being very rash and getting into trouble, especially with Arachnid, who will be covering with the Decepticons, even though she's technically. We'll get there.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But
All right.
right now, we've got probably the least complicated character out of the Autobots, Bulkhead.
Mm-hmm.
He's without question the brawn of the Autobots.
He's the big boy.
Big green boy.
Yep.
Whose primary method of melee combat is swinging around what looks to be kind of a wrecking ball, minus the chain, because flails are highly overrated.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, it's kind of carried over from the Transformers animated rendition of Bulkhead, which was when he was first introduced as a character. He was an entirely new original character introduced to Transformers. So I kind of like they kept the wrecking ball aspect. And it did just, I guess they just didn't use the fucking chain with it. Just to say, you know what, he can use two wrecking balls as weapons or flail or whatever it is.
Yeah. But yeah, he's not just the big muscle guy. He's there's a lot more to him than he lets on.
Oh yeah.
He was a member of the elite squad called the Wreckers, which apparently comes up from time to time.
It does, yeah.
Especially when Breakdown is featured in episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I really like his dynamic with Miko. It's very entertaining. It's hilarious to see like this big guy get bossed around by this little spunky teenager.
Yeah, it is pretty cute.
Yeah. But apparently, when we get to Miko, you had some choice things to say about him.
Yeah, I have some choice things to say, alright.
One minor nitpick I had with his animation, and this is basically me as an animator seeing like early on he was being animated way too fast.
Yeah, he was moving. Yeah,
he was booking.
Like remembering back at it now, and I can definitely agree with you on this, that he was moving a little bit too fast for a big boy.
Like, I don't think there were even eases. It's like they were just shy of step tangents.
Yeah.
It's like, goodness, what were you doing? What are you doing? This is the first few episodes. This should be showcasing your best animation. What are you doing? Why is he moving so fast?
I think...
But yeah, nitpicks aside, he's a very good character. He's solid. I liked Bulkhead.
Waddle's like a fucking penguin. A penguin on fucking crack.
Brutal.
Anyway.
Next on the Autobots, Ratchet. Red and white car with a heartbeat monitor on the door sides. I wonder what role he plays.
Trust me, I'm the doctor. Yeah, doctor, medic.
He's also the scientist of the team.
Yep.
So the vast majority of the time, he's generally going to be operating the ground bridge and providing support from the base.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a few times where he does leave it, mainly with Optimus, and the other time he was doped up on synthetic energon.
Oh yeah, that.
That did not turn out well for him.
No, that's.
Yeah, I saw that coming. It's like he gets all doped up, and it's like, oh, it's one of those episodes where it's kind of like, don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do the drugs, kids, but energon form. Which I mean, to be fair, you know,
Like, it worked within the concept, so it's not so bad.
A synthetic energon it does make a comeback later on, eventually, for some other things.
Oh, does it, like, get refined and not have so much of a drawback, or is it, like, the Decepticons
I specifically remember that the Decepticons will be trying to find a way, or will be using or making synthetic energon, and probably refining it more than what Ratchet did, I think.
Yeah, because, again, they don't have those moral stipulations. And they did foreshadow it at the end of that one episode.
Pretty much.
The entire reason why he really tried it was because, you know, he's kind of one of the older Autobots. You know, he reminisces a lot with Optimus. And he just kind of wants to be a bit more than just mission support.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's understandable. They kind of did this with, once again, going back to Transformers Animated, with that version of Ratchet. He's a bit more of an old war veteran who is kind of a grumpy grandpa.
Well, that's kind of how he is now, anyways.
Yeah. Of course, with the Bulkhead, I needed that. Everybody loved this rendition of Ratchet.
I agree. He's also one of the few people who, like, disagrees with Optimus sometimes. Because, you know, he kind of has that old buddy thing, so Optimus doesn't really call him out on much. Like, again, the only time I remember Optimus really disagreeing with him vehemently was that synthetic energon thing. Where it's like, what are you doing? This could compromise you. And Optimus was right. The other thing is, I like his arc. He starts off, again, like RC, very dismissive of the humans, but Raphael winds up really helping him out. And,
warm up to
humans. Because it's like, oh my goodness, this human, who's not just any human, but a child, is like this whiz kid. And Raphael is just very interesting as a character. We'll get to him a bit later. Unfortunately, he doesn't get as much exposure in Season 1.
No,
but
I think he does a little bit more in Seasons 2 and 3.
But Ratchet, very solid, like him.
Brutal.
Let's go on to somebody who I'm not so fond of. The first human of the bunch, Jack. I may have told you this earlier when we were talking about this, Bill. I don't really like his design. It's basically the American version of an isekai I am flubbing myself today.
It's okay.
Isekai protagonist, bland with a capital B.
I mean, you're not wrong. I won't deny that. Jack is one of the more generic looking of the human characters of the Transformers series. But I think he has a good head on his shoulders of wanting to do what's right and helping out.
Well, yeah, at least he makes up for it in his characterization, but visually he doesn't have much going on.
He's
like
probably
dull color scheme, doesn't really reflect his personality that much. His silhouette doesn't really read much beyond a teen boy, but fortunately, his his dynamic with RC, his position as being the level-headed human who will usually call Miko out on stuff and kind of like rein in the group. Yeah, it makes sense. And this really goes into like towards the end. Optimus gives him some sort of key or something.
It's the key to Vector Sigma.
Whatever that.
From what I remember, and also going along with Generation 1 lore, it's the supercomputer of Cybertron.
Oh, that is actually really freaking important.
Yeah.
Like, when Optimus kind of bluffed, it's like, oh, it's the key to, like, our main core, the Energon supplies. It's like, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's kind of important, but it looks a little bit too fancy for that.
Yeah, no, it's a key to Vector Sigma.
Yeah.
I think it was Vector Sigma, but yeah.
But yeah, it kind of did highlight how much of a growth that Jack did have, because before he was like not very interested into it, but by the end of the series he even stands up against his ma. Yeah, his ma gets into this. No, we're not covering her because she is featured in 3 odd episodes.
At least, yeah, she's featured in 3 odd episodes, and that's really it.
Oh wow. Not that, again, she's not terribly important, but he's like, no, I'm staying with the Autobots. It's my responsibility because, well, we'll get to what happens later on, but it's basically a situation where it's like, I can't really run away from this anyways.
It's kind of inevitable.
I might as well. But yeah, Jack is alright. Poor visuals, but characterization, if you can write a decent character, I will forgive poor visuals. Unlike somebody, Cameron.
Bravo.
Back to Raphael.
Alright, now we're getting on.
He actually does have some thought in his visual design, by which I mean they put a slight spin on the nerd cliche. I mean, yeah, he's got the glasses. That's like Velma Dinkley crippling nearsightedness. But I do like that his hair is kind of like anime slicked back. It's like kind of that Einstein vibe to him.
Oh yeah, it kind of is a little bit.
He's really interesting because he understands Bumblebee.
He's the only human that really understands Bumblebee.
Do they go into why he understands Bumblebee?
Bumblebee. I know.
Bumblebee. Why does he understand Bumblebee?
I honestly can't remember because it's been such a long time.
Like, I just assume he knows he's fluent with binary or something.
I kind of what I could probably base it off of is that with how his mind is, with how he's pretty much the child prodigy when it comes to technology and whatnot. I would like to assume that his mind is on a level of understanding of the Transformer language to a little bit. So I don't think they really fully explain how. It just kind of run with it.
Alright, yeah, so that's Raphael. He's kind of intriguing, but again, season 1, not too much exposure for him. But he's functional. He gets the job done.
Blast.
Now, before you go off on Miko, I'd like to give my few cents on her.
Go right ahead.
First of all, visual design, while more engaging than Jack, it's also kind of a cliche at this point. It's like, oh, it's the Asian girl who's rebellious and has dyed hair. It doesn't help that I also saw Glitch Tex, who also has a Miko who's kind of hyperactive and has dyed hair. But at least that Miko's a bit more level-headed, which goes to say a lot about this Miko. Bill, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, well, she is a fucking mess and a half of wanting to, get into the action, see what's going on and all this shit. It's like, fuck. She becomes the foil, and as time goes on into the series, and how often she does that, everybody goes, "Oh, it's Miku." That's just like
It doesn't get better, does it?
It gets better to a little bit of a degree, but it's still a bit of a pain in the ass to deal with.
Well, it could be worse. She could actively be trying to harm the series.
Yeah,
like Alfie from freaking Problem Solvers, who is the second most hated character I've had. Maybe
she doesn't harm as. Okay, I'll be bluntly honest. She doesn't really harm the series. It's just more of a personal thing with me of like, I want to punch you right in the fucking mouth because, God forbid, just. I mean, makes up with the dynamic she has with Bulkhead. It's sweet. It's nice, and it's just sometimes she does things and you just go, why? Why did you do this? Why did you think it was a good idea?
Do you learn ever?
Oh, she does a little bit later on, but even then, she's still headstrong on most things.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Next on the humans is Agent Fowler. Yeah, I've actually decided to include Fowler because he's funny. Like, okay, visually, there's not much to him. You know, African American secret agent guy. You know, he's kind of got a little bit of a gut, but he gets in on the action actually.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's usually piloting a jet
or a helicopter.
Jet or helicopter, and he does like hold his own sometimes. But I just love his dialogue. I like his grudging characterization with the Autobots. Is like, this better not be cons. It's like, Optimus is like, this is worse than cons. Oh no.
And Falco just throws his hands up like, okay, well, fuck. Shit.
Oh man, Fowler's just, whenever he's in, it just brightens the episode. Like, there's not much to him, but he's enjoyable.
Yeah, and especially when he gets knocked out and he's going all loopy, he's like, yo! Put some pants on! And he just falls back over. That was probably one of the funny parts
of
the episode.
Gosh,
one of those
Fowler.
And as time goes on, he does become a bit more accepting of the Transformers, of the Autobots. So, you know, it's not like he's always going to stay like that to an extent. So I think it's great. I have no problem with Agent Fowler. I think he's probably one of the better human characters in the Transformers series that I've come across. Other than Kicker!
Blast.
Alright, last human on the list, who is just important enough to get mentioned, because apparently they're slightly more relevant in Season 2. The mech guy, whose name I forget.
Silas,
or was it?
Silas.
Yeah, Silas.
General Silas, yeah. Yeah, this... I mean, it's an interesting concept of there being, like, a human terrorist organization that is trying to... or wanting to try and figure out the Transformers. And this is probably one of the renditions of it, because it's bound to have
other versions.
Oh no! Well, when it comes to like humans being interested in Transformers and wanting to figure them out, no, that's common. But when it comes to like an organized group of like mech, I think this is the first time the mechs appeared in something like this, just for this series.
But yeah, from a visual standpoint, they leave a lot to be desired. It's like just guys in camo, and this guy reminds me of that one. Was he a sergeant or a commander from Small Soldiers? Yeah, that.
Oh my god! You make me feel old. I remember that.
I recall it as well. But he basically looks the same.
Yeah, he does look a bit the same, but with more scars and whatnot.
Yeah, more scars, because he's evil. Even though the other guy was evil as well.
And I do believe he's voiced by Clancy Brown, because he's got that deep voice.
Yeah, mech guy, not that great a character, just kind of meh.
Crazy.
Fortunately, we are going into far more interesting characters, starting off with Megatron.
Ah, yes. Good old Megatron, of the leader
Megatron
of the Decepticons. Goodness. The tyrant leader of the Decepticons.
Oh yeah, he looks the part. Yeah, and just basically, like, his body type's similar to Optimus, but he has more triangles in him. Mm-hmm. Now, for those who are not familiar with like shape language in character design, triangles equals danger, and boy is he spiky.
He's a spiky boy, and this is probably one of the best performances Frank Welker did as Megatron for the Transformers series.
Yeah, I also like his metal gray palette with purple thing. Apparently, I did not really get this often, but like there has been this video out there that's like purple isn't just like the color of royalty, but it also can be used as the color of corruption because again, it's not a very natural color. It's very rare to see it, and you do see it in Megatron a lot, especially when he gets possessed by a certain someone.
Yep.
But yeah, like this corrupting force is purple.
Dark Energon.
Yeah, Dark Energon. And I really like that. I like that, he's not just entirely gray. Bay. which is another thing about the Decepticons as a whole. Yeah, they're not as colorful as the Autobots, but there is some sort of color scheme to them.
Of course, it's just more darker. There's just a bit more of a darker tone with the Decepticons, since they're portrayed as the villains, as the antagonists.
They touched upon this towards the end of the first season, that he was a gladiator who went by the name of Megatronus after one of the 13 Primes, but eventually just shortened it.
Shortened it to Megatron.
And his shtick was that he was leading initially this rebellion against
it was, and I think I can take over from here.
Yeah, please.
He's a former gladiator of the Kaon, which is where a lot of the more worker base, like let's think like lower class, for the Transformers, because there is a cascade system on Cybertron, which is their home world. I don't think we've mentioned that just yet, but it is a very broken, corrupt, very fucked up cascade system that the more higher up you are in the cascade, the more well off you are. While if you're somewhere in the middle, you're all right, but you're not going to be as like wealthy in a sense. And when you're lower, you are treated like dirt. You are very much treated like nothing more than just a machine or a cog in the machine.
Yeah. So he led the revolt against the system.
Yeah,
and was like,
which sorry to cut you off again.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's which also plays in the fact that Orion Pax and Megatronus were friends, and they wanted the same thing, but they both had different means of wanting it. Megatronus was more. He's a bit more willing to push through and be a bit more be a bit more violent about it. He would push his way through it, while Orion was a bit more peaceful. He wanted.
He was a bit more noble about it.
He was a bit more noble, a bit more. He wanted peace. He wanted this cascade system to go away as well. But the two of them were on a very different way of wanting it, and that's when Megatronus felt like he was in the council when they went to the Council of Primes, I do believe, showing of wanting to figure all the stuff out. It was Orion that the council went with because of him being more peaceful, more noble about how he went about it, while Megatronus very much felt betrayed, and he let this revolt go into a full-scale war that lasted millions of years.
And is still going forever. But yeah, Megatron, classic character, very good. I like the fact that he does a lot of his own dirty work, unlike somebody. But another very bold move was to have him out of commission for like half of the first season.
Oh yeah.
Which is really good, but I will explain that in the next character.
Almighty!
Which is Starscream.
Voiced by Steve Bloom.
Yes, Steve Bloom knocking it out of the park yet again, channeling Narest, even though Nico and the Sword of Light came out after. It's still like his medium voice, which I like.
Yep.
He's slightly lacking in the color department, but the conveyance really makes up for it. He is probably the smallest named Decepticon of the bunch. Not to mention, he's far more spindly than anyone else. The design really sells his frailty and cowardly mannerisms well, which is, again, brought to life by Steve Bloom. Man, he really killed it at that.
Most definitely. This is probably one of the best renditions of Starscream I've seen in a long time. As far as when it comes to characterization, and with him being the the sniving, backstabbing second in command of wanting to rule over the Decepticons and whatnot.
I like the fact that Megatron was out of the commission for a long time in the first series because Starscream was in charge, and you could give the Autobots a lot of wins because of it. Because Starscream, let's be honest,
he's not exactly the most capable leader of the Decepticons.
Yeah.
He wants the title, but he's not exactly going to do a whole lot with it.
Oh no, he's going to have other people do it.
Yeah,
do his bidding, and even then, like, his plans do not pan out 90% of the time.
No, they do not. So,
but because of this, Megatron doesn't have to get foiled by the Autobots that frequently, so he can still maintain himself as a threat. Whereas Starscream was never a big threat, period. So you don't really have that. You don't have that issue.
No, I mean to be fair, he did off Cliff Jumper himself.
Well, yeah, he gets a few kills in here and there. Right?
He has his moments where he can genuinely be a threat, but that's only when he's in control of a situation.
Yeah.
Or he thinks he's in control of a situation until he realizes he isn't.
That said, I really like Starscream. He's very good to have around, and it's not just because I really like Steve Bloom. No, it's just a very good character.
All right.
Now, the next one is kind of an opposite to Starscream, Soundwave.
Ah, yes, the loyal third in command of the Decepticons.
Yeah.
Pretty much Megatron's spy.
I really like his visual design. I really like that he's very sharp, sleek, and there is no face. No face. Because he doesn't... I don't think he actually talks. He's got, one properly voiced line.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing, which I didn't see because that's, later on. As with many things in this series. But he's really, really competent. If you want something done, get Soundwave to do it.
He'll do it. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing is that he uses previous recordings of other people as to piece something together, which I find really interesting. Because this is probably one of the interesting characterizations of Soundwave that I definitely do enjoy. Do I miss the,
Autobots, inferior, Decepticons, superior.
Fucking, yeah, of course I do. That of course, he was voiced by Frank Welker as well in Generation 1. But, I'd say, for what it's worth, I do definitely enjoy Soundwave as a character within Transformers Prime.
Yeah, he's silent but effective, and, the characterization takes a bit of a hit from the silent treatment. It does give him a lot of mystique. Overall, I like him.
Of course, Laserbeak. He has Laserbeak.
Oh, yeah, that thing. I didn't even know that was a separate entity from Soundwave. I just thought it was just a little thing. It was a little drone.
Oh,
but
no.
apparently that's a character in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's just to go back to other renditions of Soundwave. He's had Rumble, Frenzy, Laserbeak. Buzzsaw is one, but is rarely ever used. Another one is Ratbat, but that was for the second go around of Generation 1 after the 1986 movie.
All right.
So, Knockout, I didn't really care much. Well, okay. It's not so much distaste, but it just didn't leave an impression.
Yeah. He's just he's pretty much what Ratchet isn't, which is he's more vain, he's a bit more arrogant. He's more, of course, he has his moments where he can be cowardly, but he's also could be absolutely terrifying when he's in his zone of being a doctor, while being a doctor in air quotes.
Yeah, I think the only really standout moment that I liked was when he was with Starscream, was hey, you kind of lost your arm. You want to upgrade with that instead? Let's fit you out. And he's like, no, I want my arm back.
Yeah, that was probably one of the that's another thing to say is that Knockout and Soundwave. Wow, Starscream's dynamic is really funny because it's two sniving, conniving, scheming guys wanting to rule over the Decepticons. and whatnot.
Yeah. But aside from, like, being a foil to Ratchet, I didn't get much from him.
Yeah.
Is just serviceable.
Brutal.
Breakdown. Alright, he's basically like a rival to Bulkhead, but less interesting.
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately. He doesn't... I mean, his partnership with Knockout's pretty interesting, but even then, he doesn't have a whole lot going on for him, other than that, like, he gets captured in one episode by Mech, and one of his eyes does get removed.
Oh yeah, so, that was one episode I recall.
Yeah, so... I mean, other than
that's
that...
the most interesting thing that ever happened to him.
I mean, yeah, and I think later on he gets killed by Arachnid.
Oh.
And then Mech turns his corpse into something for Silas. He gets turned to this hybrid, like, human inside of a Transformer's body. Spoilers. Probably should have said that.
By the way, spoilers.
Yeah, I probably should have said that, but I mean, to be fair, this
It's
series,
an old series.
It's an old series, so hopefully some people who are watching who are starting to figure this out will at least go back and watch it. So yeah, that's what it is. But yeah,
one last thing about both Breakdown and Knockout, they are both land vehicles, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's and they're also kind of more brightly colored than the other Decepticons.
A little bit more, yeah. Not by much, but a little bit more.
Blast.
Last rival, which, contrary to the other two, I really liked, Arachnid.
Yes. Arachnid, who is... it tends to flip from being neutral to Decepticon to being whatever she is.
Yeah. From a visual standpoint, again, 10 guesses what she's based off of, a spider. But... one thing I did like is that she technically has 3 forms, which is also why I don't give all these Autobots, all the, Transformers and Autobots, Decepticons, a bonus, because all of them have alternate forms. Arachnid gets this bonus because
she's kind of a triple... She's a triple changer in a sense.
Yeah, she's got the regular bipedal one, then she's got the spider, and then she goes helicopter. Why helicopter? Well, you have to do something with those legs.
I was about to say, you gotta use something for those freaking legs. She has one of the more, like, complex and compelling rivalries with RC, because she's the one that killed Tailgate.
Yeah, Tailgate.
And she's the one that very much psychologically tortured her and very much almost broke her.
Yeah.
Or definitely could have broke her. And Cliffdropper could have helped ease her back out of her shell. Then when he got offed, it kind of set her back for a little bit, and then Jack came along and opened her back up again.
One thing I really liked about her, especially towards the later part, is when she does join the Decepticons, she kind of out-Starscreams Starscream.
Yeah.
Because she's actually competent.
She is. She definitely has her moments where she can definitely outthink and outsource the Decepticons, especially when she gets control of the Insecticons, which are big boys in on themselves.
Unfortunately, we're not talking about them because they did not show up in the first season.
Nope, second season.
Awesome.
However, there is one last character to go over. And I think you know who it is. Unicron, who technically speaking, we don't physically see. We see a lot of stone clones
avatars
of him, or effigies of him, but we never see him in the entirety of himself. I assume his visual design, from the looks of like the effigies, isn't much different from the ones that I've seen before. Yeah. So I'm just scoring that as is, which nonetheless, he's very intimidating.
He's the living embodiment of chaos and destruction.
And also, in case you haven't been warned of spoilers before, he is also the Earth's core.
Yeah, he's the Earth's core. That they decided to go with Unicron being the Earth, and which by the way, with the season finale, you can see the kind of destruction that is going on around Earth. Earthquakes, tsunamis, the volcanoes are just spewing out dark energon. It is it is visually happening. Like it is, like everybody's like, oh god,
Yeah,
like,
it is.
we gotta
straight
stop
up
this.
The end of the world.
Yeah, it is straight up
Unlike
the
a
apocalypse.
certain thing that was lurking in the center of the Earth. I will not refer to what series it's from, but those who know exactly what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, yeah, he's very intimidating.
Yep.
And I do like that the Dark Energon thing is set up early on in the series with Megatron. It's like, the blood of Unicron, and I shall stab it into myself with no regard to how it'll affect me in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, it did save his life, but...
Barely.
It also made him easily accessible by Unicron.
He's more susceptible to being controlled by Unicron. Since while Energon is Primus's lifeblood, Dark Energon is Unicron's lifeblood. Opposites.
Yeah.
That shit.
I find it hilarious that Megatron, talked to him as but Unicron, this world, you've sprung life from it. He's like, what? There are humans that live here. They could serve you. He's like, no, they're parasites. They must die.
Yeah, that's
Insects! Parasites! They must be destroyed.
like it's like Megatron. What the fuck?
He is evil beyond evil.
Yeah, he's pretty much, he's the living embodiment of chaos, destruction, and evil.
Yeah, I love that because, you tend to not see that often anymore.
No.
It's like, oh, redeemable villains. They're all the rage now.
I have my own opinions regarding that.
It's like, do you have to redeem every one of them? Like,
No.
Zuko. You gotta be careful with redeeming villains. With Unicron, no.
Nope. Evil.
No.
Purest evil to the core.
And to the same extent, Megatron as well, towards the season finale, Optimus is like, I thought I could, redeem you, but now I know. No, it ain't happening.
Alright.
And that should do it for Transformers Prime. Overall, I like the series. I might actually look at the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Because it's very good. Give it a watch if you can find it.
I think you can still find DVDs of the seasons. I do not know. The only DVD that I have is of the Transformers Beast Hunters movie, which takes place after the series. And
Yeah.
on Cybertron, so rebuilding it and whatnot.
Or by the way, spoilers, Cybertron gets restored. Yeah,
Yeah,
I read up a few things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Good stuff. It was great having you on, Dill.
of course.
If anybody liked what they heard, even though this was a bit more chaotic than the average Design Dungeon episode, by all means, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications because YouTube's a little bit wonky with that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's usually wonky about a lot of things.
But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Leave a comment if you've got any requests for the next Design Dungeon, because this was also a request, believe it or not.
Yeah. Surprised the hell out of me.